After losing his job as a bond trader in 2010, Brandon Stanton decided to take some time off and pursue his passion for photography. What began as just a hobby turned into a full-time obsession. Soon after losing his job, Brandon moved to New York and began a small photo blog called Humans of New York in November 2010. Despite having no formal training in photography, Brandon was armed with a Canon 7D and a 50mm lens. Initially, the Humans of New York blog aimed to capture the portraits of 10,000 New Yorkers and plot each location on an interactive map online. Like many startups, however, the initial goal quickly evolved. Instead of aiming to create a map of portraits across New York, Humans of New York instead aimed to tell stories behind the photographs. Brandon would spend his days approaching random strangers on the streets of New York, taking their photographs, and then asking them profound and sometimes difficult questions. He would then post the photograph to the Humans of New York blog along with a brief quote from the person.
I was wondering if there's any way I could take your photograph. I run a popular photo blog called Humans of New York. It was a very long process to figure out exactly how to approach somebody. When I first started, I was trying everything. I was trying to explain everything, tell all about myself, and I'd be very nervous. And after years of doing this and probably stopping about 10,000 people on the street, I've whittled it down a lot to where really all I do is I say, "Do you mind if I take your photograph?"
What separated Humans of New York from other photo blogs at the time was the authenticity of the photos. There weren't too many other photographers that went up to random people and asked them for their photograph and their story. In the following video clip, Brandon explains the competitive advantage Humans of New York had over its competition.
What it is about Humans of New York, and I say it's not the photography, what it is that if you want to use business terms, I'm sure some of you study business, that's the competitive advantage of Humans of New York. Why is it growing so fast? Why is it so difficult to duplicate? It's the taking an atmosphere of kind of fear and strangeness and uncomfortableness and turning that into an atmosphere of intimacy where people feel comfortable to disclose in a very short amount of time. And the way that I figured this out is just by doing it 10,000 times and just getting beaten down, beaten down, beaten down, beaten down.
For the first several years following its launch, Humans of New York distributed its content exclusively online. Through the use of Tumblr, Facebook, and Twitter, along with its official website, Humans of New York currently attracts millions of daily users. One important factor to Humans of New York's success is that new content is posted daily. This keeps fans continually checking the website and social media for new photos. Each photo routinely gets hundreds of thousands of likes within hours of being posted. During October of 2013, Humans of New York published its first book, which featured some of its best photographs.
1 week on sale, and you hit the New York Times bestseller list. You're 29 years old. What is the first thing that you think when you're on the New York Times bestseller list at 29?
When I got the call, I wasn't expecting it at all, so it's more of an outpouring of emotion than it was any kind of, structured thoughts.
While this has been the main source of revenue for Humans of New York, Brandon also gives talks around the country and does a bit of commercial work to net revenue. While Humans of New York has had countless opportunities to profit from advertising, Brandon refuses to promote any sort of business on the page. He does this to keep the page clean and simply focus on the Humans of New York.